Good. I hope, yeah, you are still protected by the Almighty. I just want to make sure. Guys, how are you? And welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Tisha Oliphant. If you are new here, you are most welcome. And yes, I am Tisha Oliphant, born and bred in South Africa. And I would like us today to talk about marriage and finances. And if you've been to this home for a while, you've become part of the family, thank you, thank you, thank you. I truly appreciate you. I truly appreciate your support. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking. Thank you for always being present. And I want to touch on the subject. Times are tough, guys. And yes, you often hear people saying love is blind. And once they are deeply invested or so invested in life, they then realize, we say, Haibo, Haibo, Haibo. This is not what I thought the financial side of marriage would be. So I won't be long. I just want to highlight a few things, and basically this comes from a place where we see people crazy about one another, loving one another, and before you know, you hear the sad news that they are no longer together. So it is important to actually look into the financial side of things when we're talking all things relationships and marriage. I said marriage and finance because I'm taking it you know a step further, but it should be relationships and finances. So Nokzola, hi Sisi, good day, Siri Pie, Linda, welcome, Tiki my baby, welcome, welcome, welcome. Guys, when you meet someone that you and thank you for liking, guys. Those who are still going to like, please do. Those who watch this live later, don't skip the ads, please. And if this content resonates with you, please do subscribe. I'll truly appreciate that. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Guys, when you meet someone for the first time, be it you are a lady or a guy, and you happen to fall in love with the person, love at first sight, or as time goes on you start developing feelings with that person. In most cases, then people will say then you need to do your research, you need to investigate who this person is. In the olden days, our parents would arrange, or their parents will arrange for their parents. Hence there were things like arranged marriages, because you'll find Gutige, our grandfathers and grandmothers will know that family, therefore they would know who would be marrying their daughter or son. These days, things have changed. People meet on Tinder and sometimes you find them married, which means you don't know this person. And I'm sad to say, even if you meet someone in church, you cannot fully claim that you know them. Even if you meet them in heaven, I don't think you can fully claim that you know them. It is important for us, whether you're a guy or a lady, to do a due diligence. You need to find out who this person is, especially if it's someone you didn't grow up with, someone who doesn't stay 3 blocks away from you, your place. Even some of those people shocks us when we hear their scandals. We're like, hi Bo, I grew up with this guy. How much more someone that you're planning to marry, someone that you're planning to spend the rest of your life with. So it is important while you are finding out who is this guy that you are interested in, who is this lady that you want to be in a relationship with. Some people go as far as understanding who their family is, family background. Are they from is it a family that's educated, family that runs businesses? Is it a family that pooza, too much? Because you need to look out for such signs. And if I were you, I'll run away like crazy, because you don't want to sit with such problems. And later on, you have kids, and kids, inherit such. While you do such research where you're finding out who the person is, and I hope you also go find out if this person is living with Igciwane as well. It's important to know if someone HIV positive or not, and go in knowingly if you are okay with that, but you know how to take precautions. It's not only knowing where they're coming from, it's knowing a lot about that person. So while you go and test and stay away and wait for the window period, you also need to find out ukuthi financially, where is this guy standing? Financially, who is this woman? Because, guys, we cannot marry people and 2 years down the line or 5 years within the marriage, we are talking divorces because we've just uncovered ukuthi the spending habits, the financial habits are so it's a complete opposite of who you are. Here you are trying to build a generational wealth for this family, for your kids, for the future generation, and your partner is pulling the opposite direction. More than they spending. Whether you are investing, more than they spending. So while you finding out who this guy is in terms of the family background, the family tree, and all that, and their qualifications, where do they work? Have they ever committed a crime? Uthatha nama fingerprints, you will find out who you're dealing with, because they could have a criminal record, and then you go get tested. Do not forget to look into the financial side of things, because people, as sad as it is, you meet someone, you pray that you stay with that person if you really love them. We don't meet people and pray to stay with them if we're not crazy about them, especially in relationships. And you want to build a future, you hope you'll build a future together with the person. And then later on in life, life happens and you are left with a debt because you didn't do what you needed to do. So let's stop worrying about fluffy things. Yes, they are important. The appearance is important. The hygiene is important. Career-wise, very important. Is this person fit and strong? Are those the qualities that you are looking for? That is important. Do they want kids? That is important. But do not neglect in terms of finances. And yes, you might not talk about finances during a first date, but as you start seeing one another, you ought to open up. You ought to ask difficult questions. You ought to ask those sensitive questions and suss out, and if possible, get evidence, receipts, and be in a comfortable position once you get into that marriage. Because some of the marriages, not all of them, some, I don't want to say most, they end due to our finances. People don't talk about finances. They are madly in love. They've got these butterflies in the Starbucks, and they forget, or they look the other way, or they're not comfortable. You need to know how much your spouse or your partner earns. You know how many people will say, I don't even know my husband's payslip. Uhlala njani nomuntu endlini, be responsible for buying big things such as houses and cars and educating kids, especially when you have children, but you don't know ukuthi financially, can you even afford that? So, yes, love takes over. Love drives us crazy, but do not neglect our finances, because when you get into a marriage, which is a contract, by the way, and no contract could just be signed without you knowing Gucci financially is everything where it's supposed to be. Uzokhala. And once you are, and guys, I don't even want to go into detail unless someone asks me to, about making sure, Gucci, this contract is the contract that you clearly understand. And that is anti-nuptial contract or out of community of contract. You need to be clear and how you should be getting married. What does each mean to you financially? Because remember, if you are married in community of property, it means your husband's debts are your debts. Your husband's riches are your riches. So his poison is your poison. You can't be laughing at him. Uthi, nangisekaqhamuka nge-Range Rover. Who's going to, so you will be paying. towards. And if he defaults, you are defaulting. There's no longer he or she. I think that's one contract where you cannot differentiate between the two partners. And now it's worse because I hear that most companies no longer requires both signatures when loans are applied for. Whereas years ago, when I was still in the financial industry, if you were married in community of property, one partner couldn't even apply for an overdraft without a consent or co-signed by the next partner, because his debt, his liabilities are your liabilities, her debts are your debts. So guys, do not neglect this, because the problem comes later in a relationship, later in that marriage, when you start drowning. When you work so hard and you realize that all your hard work went down the drain, because when you had plans, you had dreams, you had a vision, you would see few years you want to have your own businesses, few years you want to have your own investments that are paying on a monthly basis the income and live comfortably. But if you don't talk about finances in a relationship prior to a marriage, you are doomed. And that's why, guys, people prioritize, which I don't have a problem, in marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling classes with priests. Have a list of other things that you need to discuss, that you need to talk deeply about. Premarital counseling, very important. Centers your marriage God and Christ, and you get to be told how difficult the journey, because love fades, guys, and what keep two people bonded is more than love, and keeps the marriage going. It is something that is just more than this feeling, because the feeling fades away and you need to dig deeper in you to remain with that partner. So while you are prioritizing to meet up with the priest and set up 6 weeks or however months to go through your marriage counseling classes or premarital counseling classes, please set some time to sit down. In fact, I think by then it might be a bit too late, with your future husband or future wife, and look into your financial situations. How many debts do you have? Who do you owe? What's the total amount that you are owing? Do you have assets? What are your assets? Are we coming together to join these assets? Are we coming together to join these kwelete, or each to their own? Very, very important. Because when the SHT hits the fan, boy oh boy, it becomes so sad. And in most cases, you find ukuthi the wife or the ex-wife or the female is left stranded, because in most cases we are the ones that move out or divorce and take ilona yabantwana. And how are you going to raise those kids if the finance side, wasn't properly defined, if it wasn't properly crafted and clarified? And guys, no one gets married to get divorced, unless maybe you find yourself a billionaire and your aim is to spend like 3 months with that person and then cash out and go live your own life. But most people even stand in front of the priest and say, till death do us part. So no one says, I want it to end, but you prepare for it as though it will end. It is a reality. And you talk about that. If the devil comes in, which we are pushing all the way, how are we going to carry on? Sensitive. It's like talking about death. No one wants to die, but we ought to discuss it. You don't want to be left stranded, because, guys, when a divorce hits that home, that's the only time people are like, oh my God, I won't even be able to afford to take my kids to or continue with the same lifestyle that they used to continue with the private schools, continue with extra lessons that they get, the get-togethers of families on month ends and the holidays, 2 holidays a month, because the parents shied away from talking about our finances. You need to know how much your partner earns. You need to know how much debt your partner has. Even prior to marriage. Now, during, we do these financial assessments every beginning of the year. If you are married, more especially in community of property, when you can't do it individually, you need to do it with your partner, because he could have debts that you are not aware of that will come up when he's normal, or they will come up when you see Kokoko Sheriff coming to repossess some of the things, whether it's cars or to take some of the furniture, or to be told, Gucci, your partner hasn't been paying the bond for the past 6 months. There you were when you're shopping nicely, having a great life, not knowing Gucci, one of yours is cheating the system, taking the money that belongs to a bond and maybe helping a sister, or taking the money that should be paying our school fees and doing something else with that money. Only when the kids are kicked out of the school, you realize, Guti, Haibo, auntie, what kind of a person is this that I'm spending my life with? So it is very, very important to not neglect the financial side of things when it comes to a marriage. Every year, you bring AMA statements, or even better, get the credit record, that free reports, to see Kuti, who's owing what, even the one who's gone and took a debt about 1 million. There's partners where, or husbands and wives, where in a marriage, one partner went and applied for a second bond, or extended the bond. I completely forgot the terminology, where once you have extra cash, you've been paying extra towards your bond, or there's equity in your house, you can now extend and go and borrow against your house. You can withdraw the extra that you've been paying towards the bond, and that increases the repayment amount. So if one partner is responsible for that particular side of finances of a household, and when I was ukuthi hayibo na indoda isihambile yayoboleka, you guys are sacrificing holidays, sacrificing beautiful clothes to pay extra towards your bond. It means nothing if the other partner keeps on borrowing from it. And in certain instances, the other partner only finds out either when the house is repossessed, or when the bank sends that letter that has read writing final notice, or when the other partner is normal. Know how many men and women are like, what? This man left me with this. I didn't know he borrowed against our bond. Huh? Borrowed extra. There I was being depriving myself. I'm a restaurant weeks and whatever you want to call them, and ubumnandi experiences, because I wanted us to pay off our bond much quicker than the 20-year or 30-year period that is stipulated, that ends up costing you even more in interest, paying 3 times the sale amount, the amount that you bought the property for. It is important, guys, because in your relationship, in your marriage, nikhulume ngemali, and no one should be screaming and cursing the other partner when these conversations are taking place. They ought to be as decent as other conversations. When you talk about other things, when you talk about a weekend away, when you talk about enrolling your kids for something awesome, or if you don't have kids, when you talk about your own life, that the future that you're busy building. But do not neglect conversations that has to do with your financial standing. Because they say opposite attracts. It's rare where you find an investor marries an investor, a dreamer marries a dreamer, a hustler marries a hustler. In most cases, one is hustling, the other one is just chowing the profits nicely. So you don't want to find yourself wena upusha while omunye azchilele, and instead of the other one assisting, because even if you are not a hustler, there's other ways that you can support your partner with. Might not be the same. We're not the same. You don't want to marry someone who's exactly like you. That marriage would be boring, I guess. But you can, very important, complement onto each other, support, understand, and respect each other when it comes to our matters of our finances. And I hope Gucci next time I'll come through, which I've done in live before on my Facebook page, about FU fund. Because we ought to talk about this fund. And every single human being should have it, especially women, because, yeah, in most cases, I speak for women. I'm a woman myself, especially black women. I'm a black woman myself. And I can't speak for Izinto Engazazi. I talk about what I see within my community, within my circle. So beware, know what your partner has financially, assets, including liabilities. Know what your partner's net worth is. He should know what yours is, or he or she, depending on who you are. And it doesn't end there. If you are married in community of property, it is your assets, both of yours, not his or hers. It's not separated like that. That's a different marriage regime. So you should know what yours assets are, what yours liabilities are, and where are you standing. You can't be telling people, hey, Tina, we are wealth creators. Hey, we are legacy builders. And yet you are married in community of property and your partner is building no legacy. Instead, he's stealing from the little legacy that you are trying to build so hard. So it's defeating the purpose. You're running around for someone else to just take without you knowing. That's even worse when they do it behind you. And when the divorce hits, you are left stranded. Guys, I always think to myself, and guys, please don't forget to like, don't forget to share, and thank you for those who've already liked and shared, and don't forget to watch the ads and subscribe if you haven't and you love this home. Hi mom, kunjani? Kusho uThembi, siyabonga ngokufundisa kwakho. Bless you. Pleasure sis. Because people are like, "Ngiyamqalaphi?" You're dating a guy, you don't even know what he does. Most of those who tells you they hustle. Guys, what is to hustle? You get married kumuntu ongabazi ukuthi wenzani. Tomorrow you wake up and you hear the scandals. What are you gonna do? And they always say there's no ways you could have dated someone that you don't know wena ukuthi imali uyayilondara. You were a part and parcel of the whole thing. Kanti whether you were too scum to ask. Guys, more especially if you're gonna take it a step further and get married, you need to know where that person stands. Like you would ask for HIV and AIDS results before you marry a person, and I hope most of you all do, but especially if you are still negative. I hope and pray you would ask for a credit report to see ukuthi ushada nani. You can't be shocked 10 years down the line. Hayi bo, bengazi ukuthi umyeni wami unegciwane. Hawu, mina bengazi ukuthi ngishade nomuntu ungena nalo. But you neglected because, oh my word, the way I love him. Guys, let's love and still use our brains. We are adults. If someone asks for something, don't look for the other way. They have the rights. You sit down and you provide it, and you also ask, because it's for both of y'all's benefits. Both of y'all's benefits. Unless it's something that doesn't bother you. Gucci, one day your partner is no more and you find Gucci, The house was owing, the cars were owing. In actual fact, you are now moving back to your home, your parents' home, or you'll be, yeah, with the cousin who is not prepared to take anyone in. You can't take an adult in. I can't see myself living with a sister or cousin my age. Maybe for 2 months to help them out, okay, but permanently for something that is not even defined indefinitely, because this person doesn't know when they'll get back on their feet. They'll be frustrated. I'll be frustrated because I've got my rules. I've got my ways of doing things. Now I'm live. They don't like the camera. They want to be free. I'm making noise. Guys, just know what you are getting into. And don't leave it just in certain aspects of life. If possible, get even the psychological reports. Was good saying is delay like a psycho. Not 3 years down the line, you realize, good, hi, he did this 3 years ago, 10 years ago. Surely I don't know this person. Or someone who suffers from severe depression. You married someone who suffers from severe depression. You don't have the tools. You didn't prepare yourself to be supportive enough. I'm not saying such people shouldn't get married because they've got this. I'm not saying if you're HIV, you shouldn't be married. There's people who are gladly prepared to marry a woman or HIV positive, and they are okay as long as they know and they can prepare themselves psychologically and spiritually and physically. You know what you are dealing with. Same should apply in your finances. Don't only focus on this aspect of life or premarital aspect and neglect the most important aspect. So I hope we are clear, and I want to talk one day about this fund because I strongly believe if you are my child, you ought to have it. Uthando Khobotso, hey dear, your long time shoe. I always miss your life because of my meetings or home away with family. This is so true. Khobotso, I hear ulogo babazile. Khobotso, you have to face it. And you know what, Khobotso? It becomes very difficult to go to whether 3 years or 2 years in your marriage. So to go to how much do you earn? So it's discussions that you should have earlier while you are still dating. It is much easier, or when you start talking, it's like, you really mean well to me. I'm preparing my uncles to come. You like, in your head, whoa, before the malumes. Guys, let's not get excited. We've been eating a custard and Sam for how many years now? To just be excited about the lunch that will come after Malobol. We ought to face, is it serious? And that also helps with the doguti. When your man says he's now coming to pay dowry, you know where he stands financially. Yes, the lobola negotiations are not for our kids. They are ours, parents and the elders. Kodwa, we ought to be open-minded to look into that. Where does your future husband work? You understand? What kind of a job? How much does he earn? More or less, I don't need to know my future son-in-law or daughter-in-law's business, but that will help because we can therefore not charge him 200,000 for income. How are you going to buy a house together? How are you going to educate your kids? But if we don't know and you always present him as this rich bagger, we will be looking for the poor boy to build about double stories, about triple stories, like I would say all the time. Guess whether your man will zhuzh up my house. I'm not even renovating it. When he comes and says, I've seen you, this beautiful flower in your garden. Oh, my son, welcome. Oh, my baby boy. Turn this home into a double story. How can you have such expectations? But you will if the bride to be, which is your daughter, didn't do what she needed to do. How much do you earn, sweetheart? What do we have? Is it fair ukuthi my parents will ask for 300,000 when we, both of us, don't even have a place to sleep? Is it okay ukuthi thina we have this stunning white wedding that cost 500,000 when you don't even have a bed or a cup? So marriage and finances just as important as the health side of things before you even jump into abashidi nomuntu. Just as important to know which culture, which religion. Because you cannot marry someone that clashes with your cultures. If awuhlabi, awuthetheli, and your husband is big on the ancestors and always slaughtering, and there's blood every weekend, and whether you were washed by the blood of Jesus in Calvary, how is that marriage gonna work? Guys, you can love someone, but there's things that will soon bring this marriage to a standstill, and they need to be discussed. How are we going to work around that? I love you to bits. You love me to moon and back. How are we going to work around it? I work. I bring in millions of friends, thousands of friends. You're not working. How are we going to work around paying our financial obligations? You ask, you have those sensitive discussions. What are your plans? If you go 50-50, which is spoken loosely in this country of South Africa, how are you going to bring in your 50% financially if you are not working? Uyabuza ubuntu wakho, guys. If wena usaba ubuntu wakho, who's going to ask them? Kusasa kuqhuma i-divorce. I-divorce iyababomu engabe uyi-avoide ngokubuza before you even get into the marriage. Wajaha umshado, guys. We've got sisters who are in their 50s who are getting married. Got people who got married in their teens. People, just prepare for it while there's still time. And thoroughly. If your person doesn't work, unemployed, doesn't have a qualification, that's how people say, go in knowing what you'll be facing and have a plan with your person. You can't have your own plan. We're talking about two human beings here. Have a plan. Maybe it's good with his hands, He'll be prepared to kuhamba ayoyenza apprenticeship or whatever they call it, where I'm a boiler maker or a handyman or a plumber or electrician. Maybe he's good with his hands and he'll generate more money than someone who went to the academic route. But you need to sit and talk about marriage and finances before you get into a marriage. Abantu bayangena sesiphakathi uzudoda sekufuna abantwana kukhala abantwana bagijime la ngani when you guys didn't talk. But how are we even going to bring kids to this end? We can barely afford ourselves. And that needs to be honest. When you can't afford yourself, doesn't mean you can't afford yourselves forever. It is just now. And you can put measures into place to be able to afford yourselves, neighbors, other people who requires help, like a charity, and your own kids. But if you don't talk about it, this huge elephant in the room, no one wants to address it. I feel sorry for that marriage because it is doomed to collapse. You've set yourself up for a failure. Sorry, guys. Dear, in my house, I pay for the house with his own money to make sure that everything is on track. I don't want to be surprised because this man can, and Hubuto, thanks, Sissy, for your contribution and for being honest. You're not the only one, but you are such a brave, intelligent woman to know your husband's weaknesses and say, I love him to bits, but I'll take on this responsibility. Because the last thing I want, Sheriff to kick me out when he's normal. Mind you, he's resting in peace. When now you will never find rest. And to be kicked out of your own house at my age, I want to kick myself out of my own house and look for something else if I'm ready. Not because of the circumstances that is beyond my control. So well done, Khobutso. And if any of y'all, you rely on your man and he tells you, I have paid that debt, I am taking care of that, and you just hear it, the horse telling you, hearing it from the horse's mouth, ask for receipts, guys. Set up time every year and sit down and look into finances. Look into finances, guys, with respect. Just say, love, this day in 2025 will be our day to plan our future, to see how far we've come, to applaud ourselves and say cheers for things that we've achieved. You do it and see what else, where we've fallen short, the lessons that we've learned, and build our marriage, because we don't want to be caught off guard. And in most cases, it's one partner. Uyajola ujola ngemali yenu. You don't even know whether you're thinking that loan that you both took 5 years ago is already paid up. That he's been taking more, or she's been taking more, and going to satisfy sides men wakhe in hotels with your heart and money. Have those conversations. To a point yokuthi umuntu aza confess. Ngoba ubambi, you rather deal with the truth that will kill you and hurt you, not kill as in gone. You know, it will hurt you, but you will survive. You will survive, guys. And in reality, thank you, Dumo. Ngiyakubona uthi powerful message, sister. Powerful, and let's be responsible, guys. We're not young. Even our younger children. I've got a younger child in this home in 2000. I tell her, kashade nomuntu ongabazi. Ongabazi siqu financially, where he's been, busy with this one and that one, and they bring all that to you, unless it's something you are ready for and you don't mind. Because some people are bad at that, because lo cherry mega busy, ahamba nalo ahamba, they still marry lo cherry. But if you don't believe in that, you value yourself, iyazi indoda yakho ukuthi beyigijimaphi, ungene kuyo wazi ukuthi ubaqedile, and do what you have to do. Hawu myeni wami, yo thandi impahla, every expensive clothing store, he has an account. No, before umyeni, while you are jolling with this person, when you say I do, you know what you are taking on. Big crot debt. You saying I do to his debts. You saying I do to her debts because she loves cars. Toys. Those are her toys. So you gotta be caught off guard. Yo, dear, my cousin's sister got HIV from her husband. It happens in most cases and it breaks my heart. And the guy gave her his disease. Oh, that's even worse, knowingly. And they say in South Africa, you can sue. Can you sue your husband for doing that? They say you can sue someone who infects you knowingly. Which woman will be brave enough to sue the husband? In that case, you find it's not only the husband, it's the father of your kids. She finds out when she was pregnant, going for her checkup. She got home to ask him, and he said yes. Yo, Khobutso, I'm so sorry. She said that is the worst ever. And I want to tell you something, Khobutso. I always say to these young ones, sorry, before you marry, especially the ones that preserve themselves and abstain, get it, Kubo. How are you gonna know ukuthi the guy preserved himself at this day and age, 20th century? Bathi labantwana bami nasengihlangene nabo, no, at least thina siyahlolwa as girls. Guys, abahlolwa, it's very difficult. But I should will go for tests. You know what you can go for a test, and a test will be negative. and then you think, oh, this is my person, get married. Even with the window period, you wait for the window period, you test again, it's negative. Hallelujah, thank you, Lord. I've looked after myself, I've preserved myself, I kept myself pure, and I found the right person. We don't know whether the other person is pure or not. And this applies to both guys. There's a guy who could be a virgin now, wanting a woman who's taken care of herself and preserved themselves. Yet again, you know how many women got infected within the marriage? How do you then prevent that? Yes, I always sing and pray and loud, even got this Bluetooth or the karaoke microphone that I'm also looking for my own childhood. Don't need to be, go back to my childhood life. I always say, condomize, no matter when I say I'm a contraceptive. If you've taken care of yourself, if you know good you are clean and you don't know, and we're not responsible for other partners, we don't know where they go, condomize. But again, guys, does it help? There's people who says, and then what happens if halfway? Yes, we know you can go for PEP. It is a tough one. There's women abazigcinile bayoboshwa abayeni babo. There's men abaye bazigcina bayolinyazwa ama-partners wabo within a marriage. It is a tough world. And those older women who are still amatshitshi, big ups to you. Big ups to you. You don't have to deal with such. Because we as partner, what about your partner? Exactly what we are talking about. Marriage and finances, marriage and health. You take care of yourself. Does that mean your partner is taking care of himself or herself? No. And how can you be responsible for an adult? You can only do so much. Request those reports. Look into their lives. But the day you find out Tuguti is cheating, and then what are you going to do? You're going to hang them. And then you go test and you say, let's look at this. You'll be left like a cousin, which is so heartbreaking. Mina like it's ukuyozitholela mina ngizigijimele ngizitholele ukufa if that's what I want. Not where I take care of myself and someone else comes and azongikripula kanjalo. No, knowingly even worse. You know? And I guess it's important, guys. Noma sithanda singathandi, except for those iy'nkalakata ezithi hayi mina akusenandaba wafa. But if you still want to preserve your health and take care of yourself, kufanele ukuthi while we do these yearly checkups, you check yourself. You ask your partner, let's go together. But check it. What's good to deal like that, guys? Better the devil that you know. Ukuthi sesingenelwa amanzi endlini. How do we then move forward? Hayi uhlezi thinking, get right mina right, but you don't even know your status. You haven't checked with your husband. Wazi uhamba, because when are you right, you think he's also right. Because when are you right, you think she's also right. It's your life. It's your life and you only get one. Be responsible, married or not. Few women will admit to this message, my sister, but you honestly, with reality. I know, Dubo, I know. And I hope ukuthi a guy also stands their ground. Not only women who says, let's see where you're at in all aspects of your life. If I believe in God, do you believe in God? If I pray every night, do you pray? Will it disturb you because I pray every night? If it doesn't sit you well, maybe when now you believe in something else, then how can you even seal the contract and sign it off and say, we'll see as time goes on? You've got major differences and you can tell. So you need to be honest. I got married within 6 months. Oh, lucky enough, he's a godsend. Oh, Khobuzo, I'm so happy for you, babes. I'm woman of prayer. Listen to that, and I always ask God for I've always asked God for a husband. 27 years now in a marriage. It's all God's grace. Got married at 20. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Ubambo lwakho sisi, your soulmate. Wow, Khomotso, what an impressive your life. I'm happy for you, sis. I'm happy. Hey, what a union. May it remain blessed, Sissy. I pray for you. I pray with you, Ngetije. May God continue to seal this union forever, and may you be happy and blessed and be at peace in your marriage. Times are tough. To find honest, dedicated, loving partners, a snip up and flakes. And when you have one, hold on to them, cherish them, love them, and tell them how much that you love them and what they mean to you. And ungangingisi. So true, dear. This is the thing I talk with my daughter with communication, finances, religion, children, and we're gonna stay. How yes, sis, parent, exactly, sis. And there's I've got kids who wants to get married and not live with their husbands. Times have changed. I said, oh yeah, we're gonna be buying a house together. There's married people who live in different houses and they're comfortable and they've been together for years. You know, I read, I went through, and Mina, things like that don't shock me because it's something I'll do personally. I'm open-minded like that. I read one post where they were talking about sleeping in separate bedrooms, and the number of partners or married couples that were there also testifying, declaring their marriage setup, which we don't share a bedroom. And we've been happily married for 27 years. Some were even laughing, saying some divorces come out of sharing a bedroom. You know, obviously they were joking about it. And in other countries, it is a culture. Ukuthi they don't share a bed. In other countries, they might sleep in the same bedroom, but they don't share a bed. Others, they don't even live in the same house. I think that will be such an awesome marriage. Not to say I'll say it's something I'll personally do. I encourage my kids. Good, how about ushade nomuntu abe nendlu yakho nihlangana. Imagine that every time nihlangana, lolo thando lihlala livutha. Hayi lolo ligcina you must constantly light up the fire because the fire, you are on each other's face, you know? And I've got one child who prays that she finds someone who's so invested in their work. I don't know if she'll like it when it finally happens, that that person is not there all the time, that just visits. And even if they're married, she just doesn't want a man who will be with her full time. It's not her, can't stand it, but a loving man who will be far. So I'm like, with a partner that's far, do you know sometimes it comes with certain challenges? The devil comes in and there could be another partner which you're not aware of. Says, Ma, I pray for a man who will not cling to me. And we are all different. We are all different. So we need to talk to our kids, talk about different arrangements. Where are you going to stay? Are you going to stay together? Are you going to have separate houses? I think, I love that. I won't be shocked if one of my kids says, "Sengishadile in different houses." I say, hallelujah. It's honeymoon all the time, you know? Not njalo. Seniyalwa, you don't appreciate one another because you constantly I just say you ought to have these discussions. Like Segayibegi Luhumutu, finances, religion, you cannot ignore them. You meet a Muslim guy, you are a Christian, talk about it. How are you going to work around it? How is this religion going to affect you? How is the family going to accept you? Are you converting? You know? I received. Thank you so much, dear. It is all God's grace. I pray, dear. I don't play with prayer. Sissy, don't play. Don't play with prayer. We are who we are. We are here today, right now, Khumutso, at this very same moment, and looking this gorge because of prayer. We wouldn't have made it, sis, if it wasn't fasting and praying. fasting and just doing God's will. Exactly, and say, Lord, guide me. We're going to go like I'm in control. I'll do as I please. Allow God to take over and just go with the flow. It is so amazing. Mina ngizihluphi. Vele ngithi baba, so today ungishonisa provider because he's your father. Abba, he's a provider. Hmm? By giving those who doesn't have enough. I'm not perfect, but I really try. Do, sissy, do. And you know, Khomotsa, I always say, thank you, Lord, because you've blessed me to be able to be a blessing on others. And the act of kindness, we talk about it, but it comes in different form. You can, if you can't give financially, you can give, time. There's instances where I gave my time. I was there for someone. Someone might say it's finances, it's financially related. If you leave your home, you take your car and you drive someone and drop them off. But for me now, it is more my time that I would have spent with the person. Sometimes I give my wisdom, my knowledge, the experience that I've gathered over the years. When someone picks up the phone and say, this is where I'm at, can you please assist? We've got something coming up for a family negotiations, and I could contribute because I've been part of our Lobola negotiations, like 4 of them or 5 of them, and I know what is how they are conducted, and I've contributed. You can provide the knowledge, you can contribute your talent, even if you can't do it financially. But guys, when it comes to the matters of finances, do not neglect them. As you discuss where you'll be staying, how you'll be getting married, home affairs, or white wedding, or lobola only, or just promise ring. There's people who just put this ring and say, now we are married. However, no one is right or wrong. We all have choices, and don't let these societal norms tell you otherwise. If a woman decides to have a child, first child at 50, so what? It's their choice. If you had yours while you were at school, primary school, it was your choice. So let's stop this judging. Hi, why are you married but you are not living with your husband? Well, now you are living with your husband. So what worries you in marriage? Yeah? Why are you asking your husband how much he earns? When now you don't know how much your husband earns and you are okay with that. Why is my business worrying you? I just see a society where we are so invested in other people's businesses. And guys, we can all be different. Dare to be different. Dare to be different. Start with school when other kids are starting with alcohol. And that's what we should encourage our kids to do. Have kids late in your life. Freeze them eggs, man. It's not a crazy amount. Freeze the eggs. I remind my daughter, don't forget to freeze your eggs if you're going to ever have kids. But now she's not sure. I don't think I want them. The next day, oh, ma, I think I love them. Oh, maybe I love them. Maybe she's not decided. I said, while you are still confused, freeze them eggs. And then later in your life, mid-40s, late 40s, you can sort of fall pregnant and shock the world because our kids are put under so much pressure. Oh, she's 35, no children. Something is wrong. Maybe she was busy aborting. What is that? Know your story. In marriage, know your story. Know who you are spending most of your life with. Financially, who you are. Because it's not only about the partner. Now yourself. And guys, sorry, I think this is just not the right time. They're busy with the lawn machine and it's making so much noise. But I think we've touched on this and I would like to say my goodbyes. Please don't ignore the crux of marriage because you find it heavy for you to discuss it with your partner. Then you shouldn't marry that person. If you cannot discuss the matters of health, you're not feeling well down there and you're suspecting that your partner has gone somewhere and brought you something and you can't confront, then that's not the person you should be with. You should be comfortable to tackle each and every topic in your relationship prior to marriage with respect, of course. But if we amsaba, I'm scared to ask how much she earns. I'm scared to ask if she's got debt, if this car is paid up. But you're gonna sign big contract of a marriage, then you with the wrong person. Look for someone whom you'll be comfortable to have these discussions, financial discussions, religion discussions, traditions, and beliefs, and health. Are you HIV positive? Do you test? What's your status? You're gonna spend your life with this person. Were you married before? Some people marry people who are divorcees and they didn't even know. They get shocked. Yo, ngamangala mina sesifike home. Story time, guys. You find them on social media. Sesifike home affairs. How? Phela divorcee. Hayi wena, awungitshela. Did you ask? It is our responsibility. We love ourselves. It's our future. It's our marriage, not only one partner. I want to go in knowing each and every detail. I don't want any surprises. To have children outside the marriage, you ought to know that. Not when your man is gone. How? Abantwana bangaka. And then if he wakes up and say, but you never asked me if I've got children outside this marriage. You never. So I wasn't going to tell you. You ask. Ask everything until you're satisfied, because those kids are going to affect your finances in this marriage. They need to be supported. They need to be educated. We want all kids to have the bright future regardless. Baby mama, step kids, how people label and we want the best future for a younger generation. So it will affect your marriage and finances. Ask. You budget for it. If they are 10, you go in knowing which when you are marrying someone with 10 children, and you have a budget, 7,000. Is your income enough to cover that, or is his income enough? Then you know which your monies will be going towards those baby mamas, whether you like it or not. You can fast all you want. Mina ngeke badle imali yakho bayayidla, ngoba your husband will be contributing less because he needs to take care of those kids. So you go in knowing. Guys, asidlali manga business. If you are sitting with someone who's problematic, go in knowing ukuthi hayi ngishade problem manje, but I'm ready. I'm armed to deal with my problem. I didn't know. Why? We don't know. Say I'm adults. Why are we shocked? Of course, there's things that we will overlook. We are human beings. But you can't be overlooking everything. Yeah, so guys, I'm closing it off. I'll read the last comments and I'll say, Mommy loves you, and all the best with the marriages. And I hope those who are planning to get married, you'll take this into consideration and do the right thing before signing on that dotted line. Dear, I got married at Home Affairs after paying lobola. We flew to Cape Town with our parents and celebrated there until today. Our family members say I'm not married. Haibo, because they didn't eat a cup. I know that. And the worst thing is, even if you had this huge wedding, white wedding or Western wedding, and you invited, there'll be people who would still be upset. I wasn't invited. Only the other side of the cousins, the paternal and the maternal, they left the Zumus. There's always stories, but I love the setup. I love the setup, and other people elope, bahambe. So what? Then your child comes back and say, surprise! I won't be upset ukuthi I wasn't there. I'll be upset, did you really deprive me of a wedding Seychelles, my child, knowing how much I love traveling, Other than that, it's her life, guys. She's an adult. I'm not gonna crack my skull over Bantwana Sengbakulisile and their choices. I guided. I said my say. I'm still guiding. I'm still showing them the right path, what I believe is the right path. I'm still leading and as a mother, imparting my knowledge. But what they choose, as may be as long as it doesn't affect me. If you're gonna do the opposite of what I teach you, hey, you are on your own. When I tell you, don't struggle, push, because this world is cruel when you don't have enough. And when now you decide to sit like this and wait for mama to always bring food and whatever, and you wanna chow my leftovers, I eventually need to enjoy the leftovers, babes. I can't stress myself. Thanks, dear. May God bless you. I'm going to my last meeting of the day before going home. You're okay, Sissy. All the best. And Monsilem Tembu. Bye, sweetheart. I love you so much, guys, for always supporting. And may the Almighty God continue to bless you and bless your marriage. If you are married, if you are still looking, all the best. But don't fall for just anything because you think the clock is ticking. No, 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 no. Pray and wait for the right person, a person that you're going to have proper discussions and you're going to talk finances and you're going to live a comfortable life. If you are a hustler, you push, you are a businesswoman, a businessman, get someone who understands your language, who can support, even if they themselves have a 9-to-5 job. It's fine. We are not the same. However, let's at least understand one another. But if this conversation goes like this and this one doesn't understand why we should pay extra towards our home loan, and the other one doesn't understand why we should not go on this holiday this time around because we've got more important things to worry about, then you ought to really think deep. And thanks for liking and stay blessed. Bye.